Hello again to all my food warriors, and welcome back to the channel. Coach Joe here. Tonight we are making some beautiful gnocchi with a little bit of home smoked salmon and a cream sauce flavored with a little bit of dill and some white port. It's a weeknight meal. It's late. It's after 9 p.m. Just got off the field. It's been a long day at the office, long week, and just ended the week with some training with one of my teams. And so, you know what? Time to get dinner on the table. And there's nothing like comfort food after a long week, and certainly gnocchi fits the bill. Gnocchi are little potato dumplings made with potato and flour, and they act like pasta, and just a great dish that warms you from the inside out. And I happen to have a little bit of leftover smoked salmon. You know, I've heard once or twice before, you know, Coach Joe, you look like a man who smokes your own salmon. Indeed, I am, and I did smoke some salmon last weekend. Beautiful maple glazed smoked salmon. This is hot smoked salmon, so it's actually cooked all the way through. And with my leftover smoked salmon, one of the things I love to do is this recipe, gnocchi with smoked salmon and a beautiful dill cream sauce. And so we're going to make that for dinner this evening. I've got a pot of water that is on, just getting up to the boil. I will salt that later on. In my skillet, I'm going to get the beginnings of my sauce going, as is usually the case. We start with an onion, as most good things do. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my onion up in a medium fine dice. Most of my sauces begin with onion, a little garlic, and some chilies, and this one is no exception. Here we are. Now, in the event that you don't happen to make your own hot smoked salmon, that is not a problem. They sell some great quality hot smoked salmon in better supermarkets or in specialty food stores, in delis. This is just a way for me to use up some of the leftovers in a bit of a creative way. There's no shortage of things that you can do with leftover smoked salmon, and this is one of my favorite ways to use that up. There we go. Now there's really two kinds of smoked salmon, some of which is called cold smoked and the other is hot smoked. Cold smoked is really when it's in a big chamber. You hang your salmon, you make a small fire in the middle of the chamber, and it never really gets up to temperature where the temperature is hot enough to cook the salmon, but the smoke really cures the salmon. It's got the texture of almost raw salmon. It's a great product unto itself, beautiful subtle smoke, but this is really hot smoked. So really I smoke my salmon at about 275 degrees for about an hour and a half, and I glaze it with maple syrup, a little bit of salt and pepper. Keep it simple, but the flavors are absolutely fantastic. So this is a hot smoked salmon, fully cooked, beautifully glazed, and infused with that smoke. So that's what I'm going to be using today. I got a couple of cloves of garlic here as well. This time I'm not going to crush the garlic because we're cooking with seafood. I want to keep the flavor of the garlic a little bit more subtle. And so all I'm going to do is just basically cut this very, very fine. There we are. Almost like little garlic chips. There we are. And to that, we're going to add our usual couple of chilies. We're just going to cut these fine. Now, I'm not too worried about the heat in these chilies. As with anything where we are adding cream or a little bit of fat, the cream will essentially mute the heat from the chilies and it will mellow it out, as it will mellow some of that heat and flavor from the garlic. There we are. We'll just get rid of the root end. So we will get the heat going here in our frying pan. A few tablespoons of olive oil just to get things going. A good 4 or 5 tablespoons of olive oil, and we will get all of this stuff right in our pan. There we are. All right. So all we're going to do now Just give this a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm going to allow this to just sweat until it becomes a little bit translucent. So I will give this about 3 or 4 minutes, stirring every once in a while until I can see through my onions where they become pale and translucent, where a little bit of light kind of shines through. And then I will see you in about 3 or 4 minutes and we will go from there. We are back. Our onions have sweated down beautifully. And now we're going to go in with a little bit of liquid. Now, this is a bit of a specialty product here. This is white port. This is a fortified wine. I know it doesn't look white. Normally port is made with red wine. This is made with white wine. It's a fortified wine. It's a little bit sweet. And I do like this because it does impart a good bit of sweetness into the dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, I'd say maybe a good 4 or 5 ounces of my white port into my pan. I'm just going to raise the heat here. There we are. And all I want to do is I want to cook off the alcohol and really intensify those flavors. If you don't have white port, you could certainly use a sweetened white wine or another fortified wine, maybe something like a Marsala or even a Madeira. Even if it happens to be a sweetened red wine, I'm not too concerned with that. I've always made this recipe with white port, and it always gives there's a subtle sweetness to the finish, and I find it really, really goes well to balance out the flavors of this dish. So, while this is evaporating off and reducing down, here I have my leftover smoked salmon. So all I'm going to do with this is a beautiful fillet of salmon that I cut up and smoked on my charcoal smoker. There we are. And I use some beautiful hardwood maple just to flavor that. I have a little bit of the liquid here. You know what? We're just going to throw that right into the pan as well. And all I'm going to do with this is just cut it up. Now you can buy this in any good supermarket, so don't worry if you don't happen to have some that's made. You can certainly buy this and use it in your preparation. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to coarsely slice this up. And when the salmon heats up, you will see this is beautifully moist, beautifully flaky. This will just fall apart and flake right into our sauce. There we are. This is beautifully delicate. Now this will feed easily 4 hungry people, if not even a little bit more. But we're going to get this right into our pan so we can get some heat into the salmon. And there we are. So what we will do is just grab this there and make sure we get it all into our pan. There. This is some great lean protein, some good healthy fats, some omegas. This is really a great way to get some healthy fish into your diet. There we are. So I'm just going to give my hands a quick wash. All right. And we will just start to break this up. All right, our wine is now reducing down beautifully. We just want our salmon to start to flake right into the sauce. There we are. All right. And now what we're going to do to this is we are going to add a little bit of cream. This is 35% cream, but we are going to use cream. You know what? Let's use the good stuff. For this preparation here, I'm looking to use, I'd say, about a good 1.5 cups of cream. This is going to form, there we are, the basis for my sauce. Put this right here. Give this a quick stir. There we are. All right. So I'm just going to let this come to the simmer, and then we are going to add a couple of our final ingredients, and we will be ready to go to the plate. Now, as far as our gnocchi are concerned, it's late in the day. Gnocchi don't take a whole lot of time to make. They're relatively easy to make, and yes, we will make them before too long on this channel. This is a gnocchi that I've purchased. This is a good quality gnocchi that's available for purchase in better quality supermarkets. When I do look to buy my gnocchi, I look for something that A, is a product of Italy. This stuff simply wouldn't fly being sold over there if it wasn't of the highest quality. And so whenever I can find it here, I certainly do. I look for that. I also look for a product that's at least 70% potato. I do want a high potato content. That's really what creates that mouthfeel, that beautiful silky texture, beautiful pillowy gnocchi have at least 70% potato. And so this is a product that I've purchased. There's nothing wrong with buying your gnocchi, certainly if you find a good quality one. And this is really the value of a well-stocked pantry. You can come home after a long day, after a long week, and make a dish like this with stuff that you have kicking around the fridge and stuff that you have kicking around the pantry. So really it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of meal choices, so that cooking is never a chore. There's always ingredients within reach, and that's really the point of having that well-stocked pantry to facilitate you being able to cook things in a hurry. And so I will give my sauce here about another 2 or 3 minutes just to tighten up, and I will see you when we get back. All right, our sauce is just starting to thicken, and so we are now going to add the last of our flavorings just so that they can incorporate and get right into our sauce. So what we have first, we have about a cup and a half of frozen peas. These are frozen baby organic peas. These are individually quick frozen, phenomenal quality. Absolutely nothing wrong with frozen peas. These are picked at the height of freshness and individually quick frozen, so that you throw these into a recipe, they'll heat right through, cook into quickly, and just be a great part of the dish. So what I've got here, about a cup and a half of frozen peas. Just gonna mix this in. There we are. And then the last of the flavorings, I've got a bunch of fresh dill here. All I'm gonna do with this, I've washed this under running water, and all I'm gonna do with this is just cut it up nice and fine, and we're gonna get that right into our dish. Dill has a beautiful freshness and really complements salmon very, very well. Classic combination with salmon, certainly in Scandinavian applications and recipes, but in this case it's a great counterpoint to the salmon. A beautiful fragrant herb, and it's going to cut some of that sweetness from the white port and certainly from the maple syrup that we have glazing the salmon as well. So I'm just going to take this and throw this right in. And our sauce is literally, I'd say 3 or 4 minutes away from being ready to go. Now these gnocchi really don't take a whole lot of time to cook. Once they're in the water, they take literally maybe 2 minutes to cook. What I've done, they've come in the package. This is a kilo of gnocchi that I have here, so it's 2 packages. They come in 500-gram packages. I find about a kilo will easily feed 4 to 6 people, and I think I have enough sauce for that quantity as well. And so literally once you throw these in the boiling water, they take about 2.5 minutes. Once they come up to the surface and they're floating on the surface, I usually give them about another 20 to 30 seconds and then spoon them right into the sauce. And at that point, they're done. We give it a quick toss. We let the starch from the gnocchi start to thicken up the sauce a little bit. They will start to absorb some of that sauce. We're ready to go. That's dinner. And so I think my water is probably 5 minutes away from the boil. So as soon as my sauce is at the consistency that I like, I will shut the heat, and we will be back. We are just about there. Our gnocchi have been in our pasta pot with our salted water. Again, this is a pot that's fairly full of cold water to start, a couple of good pinches of salt, and we've had our gnocchi in there for at least 2 or 3 minutes, and now they're all starting to come to the surface, and that means they're ready to go. So I usually just keep them in there for another 20 seconds or so. They are now ready to come out. I'm bringing our sauce back up to temperature, and we have dinner ready, a restaurant quality dinner in less than 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just take my spider, and I'm just going to get these guys right out of the water, and I'm going to allow them to finish in our sauce. So we'll make sure we drain those. We don't want to bring any excess water over. There we are. There. Oh, beautiful pillowy gnocchi. Now, can you substitute pasta for this? Absolutely. No issue with that at all. The sauce is quite universal. There we are. And we'll just get the last of these guys in there as well. Now we want to be somewhat delicate with these, as they are like little potato pillows. There we are. There we are. Now there's always one or two stragglers here. We want to make sure we get all of those out. Now, just to be safe, we have our pasta insert here. There we are. And there's usually a couple more that just sit at the bottom. There we are. I want to make sure we get those in as well. All right, we will shut the water off, and we will give this a quick stir. Now look at that. The smell is absolutely fantastic. Now, just to go back over some of the quantities here, this will easily feed, I'd say, 4 hungry adults, if not, I'd say even 6 people at that. And the amount of salmon that I used in this recipe was about 1.5 pounds of smoked salmon, and this will easily feed that 4 to 6 people that I mentioned earlier. There we are. So we're just going to allow this to cook for another 10 or 15 seconds. Because this is a cream sauce with seafood, we absolutely do not need any cheese on this. And certainly if you were in Italy, any seafood pasta, most folks would not have cheese on. So what we'll do is we will just shut that off. Just going to give this a quick taste for seasoning. Oh, that is fantastic. There we are. We'll just plate up one serving of that here. There we are. Now look at that. I mean, absolutely beautiful. The salmon is beautifully flaky, still moist. I did taste that sauce, but you know what? We're going to go in there and we're going to see if we can get a little bit of everything. Some of the fresh peas, a little bit of chili, some of the dill. Oh. The gnocchi are beautifully soft, beautifully pillowy. You get a little bit of sweetness from the port, a little bit of sweetness from the maple syrup that glazed the salmon. Those peas just kind of pop in the mouth like little jewels. You get a very, very mild hum of heat from the chilies, and everything just on that base of onion and garlic. Absolutely phenomenal dish. And again, restaurant quality dish, less than 30 minutes on a weeknight. I do hope you try it. As always, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Do share the content if you find it at all useful, as it is meant to be shared. This is Coach Joe saying I will see you on the next one.